to Ducoscopy TV. Today we'll be looking at the impact of the appreciation of the franc on venture capital investments. Joining me to discuss is Mirco Coccoli from MPD Partners. Welcome, Mirco.
Thank you, Sinead.
So the impact for importers versus exporters in Swiss venture companies. To which extent does this change startups' procurement strategy?
Of course, we heard a lot the question regarding companies in general in Switzerland, and that the impact is, of course, strong. For what concerns the venture capital startups environment, we are talking about an environment of companies that are that are not mature, so they are actually innovative by definition. So they will innovate, they will be flexible in changing their business model more than stable companies. By the way, they do not have long-term contracts in place yet, so they are flexible in that sense. Potentially, it depends on the sector. Some sector have, in some sectors, it's easier to outsource in a lower cost environments. In other sectors, it's less. So it depends definitely from the sector, but in general, these are companies that can react very quickly and very efficiently to this type of change.
Will future SMB rate moves have further impact?
Future moves by the SMB in general might go bidirectionally potentially. For what we hear from specialists, it can be either leading to a 1.3 exchange rate versus the euro, or going farther to 0.8, 0.85. Of course, the impact will be different. Basically, in one case, you have a no event because the economy, well, there is a self-regulation environment that brings back to before the SMB move, more or less. And in the other case, it's sort of a little disaster because things will be worse. But again, we saw it with even at the time of the euro entering the eurozone at the beginning. Many countries were affected for the real everyday economy and for the company's economy as a consequence. And the result was that a number of years regaining stability or adaptation to that exchange rate, but still the SMB normally have a pretty stabilizing approach. Of course, with the eurozone having the same problem in the recent years, it has been more difficult for the SMB, but we are definitely not concerned about the future of the SMB moves.
How crucial is the franc appreciation in the high-yielding private equity environment?
As you say, private equity is high-yielding. Venture is potentially, it's also in the high-risk return segment. And of course, the cruciality of this type of externality, as we can call it, from the company perspective, it's definitely smaller than the impact that you can have for larger corporations with, as we said before, long-term contracts, for example. So further moves, they will potentially have an impact on the exchange rate, but companies with good management, normally they find a good solution because there is a general competitiveness issue that need to be addressed. Switzerland is definitely well positioned in terms of competitiveness.
Is it more of a reversal from the wrong decision to peg, a measure to counter the massive ECB QE program, or a manifestation of confidence in the Swiss economy?
Definitely the ECB announcement, expected few days after the SMB move, gave the timing. But surely it's a long-term decision, so it has been thought for a long time, and it came up in this moment. I think that what happened in 2009 when the SMB decided to peg was a good move from the SMB. So I think today it's an overstatement to say that is a wrong move, or that they did a mistake. So I don't consider it to be a mistake. I think that they cut into the effect, so in two moments, the effect on the economy. I think personally that it would have been worse to let the euro-franc parity stay, because it happened already in 2009, then to bring it to 1.2 and then a second step now. For what concern the Switzerland as a country, where to invest, as we can see on the slide, it's still number one of competitiveness. These data are before the SMB move, but if the situation was number one in competitiveness, number one for the Global Innovation Index, number one for ability to attract talents, and this is a very important thing for future stability. And by the way, number one for quality of education, so you both attract and form and train talents very well. On the financial side, also as number one for the attractiveness of cost of capital. So you can imagine what happened after this move. Potentially, as the economists said, the Big Mac is even more expensive, but how far down the list you can go if you are number one. It's still a great place to invest. You still have a lot of stability in terms of companies, and especially for young companies, a very fertile environment where they can grow in a solid way for the future.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mirco.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure for me.
That's all from us here at the Ducoscopy TV studios. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to keep clicking back. Bye for now.